So you're planning a trip to Vietnam but not sure where to start. In this video, I'm going to give you a breakdown of everything you need to know prior to leaving for your trip. Hi, I'm Steph Taylor, and if you haven't seen my videos before, now's a great time to hit that subscribe button. I made individual videos for many of the cities mentioned in this video, so for a more expanded view, be sure and check those out. Also, don't forget to go check out my Instagram for all of the pictures that I took on my trip to Vietnam. So first things first. If you're going to Vietnam, you're going to need more than just your passport. You're going to have to apply for a visa. Now don't panic, it's pretty simple to do. You can either do this by visiting your local Vietnamese embassy, or you can do it online, which is the much easier option and much more affordable. One way is to apply for a pre-approval letter for a visa on arrival, which costs $17, and it allows you multiple entries into the country. Once you've filled out the application online, you'll receive an approval letter from the Vietnam Immigration Department via email within up to 2 working days. Your name will appear on a list with many other approved applicants. Kind of interesting that they share that information with strangers, but that's how they do it. You'll have to print physical copies and bring them with you to Vietnam. You'll also have to bring your passport and just make sure that it's still valid 6 months past the date of your trip. Along with your approval letter and your passport, you'll also have to bring 2 passport-size photos that are 4 by 6 centimeters. You'll also need to be prepared to pay the stamping fee in cash. The stamping fee is $25 US for 1 month single entry. Now, when I landed in Hanoi when I first arrived into the country, they would not accept my US cash, but they did have an ATM there where I could pull out local currency. The easiest way is to apply for an e-visa. If your country is eligible, then this is the way to go, but keep in mind that it's single entry only and valid for only 30 days in country. The fee is $25 US. Having an e-visa speeds up the process when you arrive in country. Now, as an added precaution, it's recommended by the CDC that anyone entering Vietnam get vaccinated for typhoid and hepatitis A, both of which you can get through contaminated food or water. These are especially important if you plan on traveling to rural areas or areas away from the city. Most walk-in clinics or local pharmacies in your area will offer these vaccines. Now, typhoid can either be injected or it can also be taken orally in pill form. Vaccines must be given at least 2 weeks prior to arrival in Vietnam. If you're taking it orally, you take it every other day over the course of a week, and you must take your final dose at least 1 week prior to your trip. Now, some people shouldn't get this vaccination, so talk to your doctor and decide what's right for you. For a complete list of CDC recommended vaccinations for Vietnam, go to cdc.gov. Now that we've covered the administrative side of things, let's dive into the fun part. Vietnam is a very diverse country with so much to offer. It's also much bigger than you think and very spread out. You should plan to visit for at least 2 to 3 weeks to be able to see a good variety of cities. The most logical way to travel Vietnam is either south to north or north to south. 2 major airports are located on both ends, making it convenient to fly into one and depart out of the other. Ha Long Bay is known for its majestic limestone cliffs and emerald water. You can take a cruise around the bay or enjoy the view from a hike. There are day cruises and overnight cruises, budget cruises, and luxury cruises. Just make sure to research your options and look at the reviews of the companies you're considering. 2 to 3 days is a great amount of time to spend here. For a closer look at Ha Long Bay, be sure and check out my vlog. Hoi An is a charming old riverside town known for its colorful silk lanterns that light the city streets at night, excellent food, and beautiful beaches. You should plan to spend around 2 or 3 days here. For a more expanded look at Hoi An, be sure and check out my Hoi An vlog. Mui Ne is a city about 4 or 5 hours drive from Ho Chi Minh. It's known for its sand dunes and relaxing beaches. This is a quiet getaway with a very unique backdrop and a great way to decompress from the fast pace of the more urban destinations like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. 2 days is plenty of time to spend here. To see a more detailed view, be sure and check out my Mui Ne vlog. Ho Chi Minh City, formerly known as Saigon, is the busiest and most modern city in Vietnam. I only spent 1 day here and really wish I had spent more time. There's just so much to see. We went to the Ben Thanh Market and Saigon Skydeck at Bitexco Financial Tower. If we had more time, we would have done the Mekong Delta tour, a street food tour, a day trip to the Cu Chi tunnels, and Turtle Lake at night. 4 to 5 days should suffice. To see how we spent 24 hours in Ho Chi Minh City, check out my Saigon vlog. Now, there are other cities worth mentioning that I didn't have time to visit, but I will list them here. Everything in Vietnam is super affordable, including lodging. You can easily find lots of comfortable places for really cheap. Some sites I recommend are Agoda, TripAdvisor, and Booking.com. There's also a ton of Airbnb options. Right when you land, you should get a SIM card. There are lots of options at the airport. Opt for data only to save money because you can use apps like WhatsApp, FaceTime, and Skype for your calling. Another thing to note about Vietnam is the Wi-Fi is great and it's everywhere. If you don't end up getting a SIM card, you'll still be able to stay connected pretty much anywhere. For short distances, I used the rideshare app Grab, which works great for quick local trips, and there are plenty of Grab drivers everywhere. We hired private drivers for trips that were closer to 100 miles away or 160 kilometers, which typically costs between $75 and $100 US. To save some cash, you can take the bus, which is more affordable but not very comfortable. The train is another affordable option. It's a little more time consuming, but it's also a great way to see the countryside on some trips if you're not crunched for time. Prices vary by class, and you do have the option to take a sleeper train and save some money on lodging for a night. You'll want to book train tickets in advance. This can be done online or at tourist agencies found at the airports and throughout the country. In the interest of time and for longer distances, we flew from places like Hanoi to Da Nang and from Da Nang to Ho Chi Minh City. Domestic flights are usually anywhere between $30 and $100 US. In northern Vietnam, summers are going to be hot and humid. Winters will be cool and dry. It can actually get quite chilly there between September and November, so pack accordingly. In central Vietnam, weather is typically hot and dry between January and August, and temperatures can get up to the mid-30s Celsius, 90s Fahrenheit. Southern Vietnam has a full tropical climate, which means it has 2 different seasons, the wet season and the dry season. Best time to go is during the dry season between December and April. During the hot season, wear clothing that's light and breathable. Also make sure to bring lots of sunscreen and bug repellent. Traffic is very heavy in urban areas like Ho Chi Minh City. Keep this in mind when you're planning total travel time from place to place. Crossing the street can be scary if you aren't used to Vietnam traffic. Cars don't stop for pedestrians using the crosswalk, so cross with confidence but also with caution. You'll need an international travel power converter, not just an adapter. Standard voltage in Vietnam is 220 volts, and you'll typically find either Type A or Type C outlets and sometimes Type G. You'll need a converter to step down the voltage and frequency from your destination's electrical outlet to your device's voltage and frequency limits so that your devices can be used safely. Now, the converter that I take with me whenever I travel overseas is made by Bestech. It comes in this case, which is really convenient for travel. It comes with several different adapters that you can use depending on what country you're going to. It also comes with a European power cable that plugs into the adapters. If you're going to Europe, you're just going to use the cable. Now, this unit supports use in over 160 countries. It has 4 USB ports along with 3 AC outlets, which allow you to charge and power up to 7 devices at the same time. Now, I did notice a slight hum that comes from the cooling fan in the unit when I placed this on my nightstand where I slept, but that can be mitigated by setting the unit on the floor. This product is a must-have for any international trip that you're going on. If you are interested in purchasing one of these for yourself, I will leave the link below, and I'll also leave a discount code for 10% off if you purchase before November 9th. Everyone's a millionaire and everything is affordable. The currency is the Vietnamese dong. Now it does take a minute to get used to all the zeros, but eventually with more practice, your math will be on point. My favorite currency conversion app to use is XE Currency. It's on Android and iOS. It updates to local currency based on your device's location, and the rates are always up to date. Its user interface is pretty straightforward, and it's much more convenient than having to pull up a Google search every time. Keep in mind that the first price given is often very inflated because merchants take advantage of tourists who are used to paying higher prices. A technique I use is to pull an amount out of my wallet that's a little below what I'm willing to pay for the item and offer it. Sometimes they'll just accept it and make the sale, and sometimes they'll make a counter offer. Either way, you don't pay the original asking price. Sometimes prices are firm, so if you've already tried twice to negotiate and they aren't budging, this means they're already offering a price that they aren't making much profit from. In this case, you should agree to pay the amount or respectfully decline and walk away because you can likely find the item somewhere else. Sometimes when you start walking away, merchants that still have some wiggle room will lower their price just to get you to come back. One of the best ways to avoid contaminants is to stick to bottled water or a bottle that has a filtration system. The last thing you want on a trip far from home is to get sick. Do not drink from the sink. Also, you don't have to worry about ice that's served in a restaurant because it's usually pretty clean. Generally, Vietnam is pretty safe, but it's not uncommon in urban areas for drive-by motorbike snatching. So safeguard your things and just make sure you're not flashing valuable items out in the open. Try different foods besides pho because there are so many different foods. Vietnam is a foodie mecca, so step outside your comfort zone. Try something new. I think I actually did a pretty good job for my first time. So these are mango cakes. This is the first one I'm gonna try. Really doughy. Good stuff. On me. Here goes. Super good. Using an app like Google Translate can be extremely helpful in situations where there's a language barrier. I ran into this at the first restaurant I went to in Ha Long Bay, where the menu was only in Vietnamese and nobody spoke English. Google Translate was super helpful when I was trying to communicate to the server what I wanted. One final tip, bring toilet paper. No, you don't have to pack this in your suitcase, but take some extra with you from hotels because some of the public restrooms don't have it. You'll thank me later. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful and informative, and I wish you the best of luck in planning your trip to Vietnam. Have a safe trip, and if you haven't already, click that like button and the subscribe button, and also click the bell so that you know when new content of mine is posted, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. If you haven't seen my videos before, right now would be a great time to hit that I wish you the best of luck in tranning. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe.